Greetings, everyone. Hi, my name is Karim Bliz 007. Appreciate you being here. So yes, as you see, I'm going to be accompanied by my guest, the one and only Karim, aka Bliz Johnson. Um, so again, I'm Karim Y007. He's pretty well known and growing. And I've already noticed some people from his camp even came through and yesterday as well. So I appreciate that. Blessings. Yeah, so really do. Um, it's Black History Month, February. Black History Month every month, like I say, for a lot of us. But I also wanted to kind of get more of a focus too on Black people too that are doing things now in the present day, like Bliz is doing. When I was growing up, I was thinking more like, oh, history already was made. And, most, the people that we study aren't alive anymore, most of them. So I think in some ways we tend to think like, okay, the deceased is who we celebrate. Now we can celebrate them too, but there's people out here making history right now. And that's what Bliz is doing too, yeah, making connections and communicating with different people. He talks a lot about racism, so we're anti-racist and all that. And from the moment I heard from him, I knew that there was something special with him and that he was a real one. We're not at a time, if we ever were, to play too many games when, there's wars going on. We want to be protected and we have to protect our mind, body, and soul. I only roll with real ones, or I roll alone, or by myself, because, with ancestors, I'm never really alone. So tapping into that. And hopefully you'll find possibly some more things here on my channel too. I talk about some things that have to do with spirituality. I'm not here to be a religious leader or anything. I'm here to talk about the spirit, the soul that's inside of all of us and how to tap into it in different ways and access success in your life. Talk about different things here, sexual health, things like that, or relations with it. I've been studying things in that nature for some time now. But a lot of things have to do with community and substance and meaning, things like that Bliz brings. Any one of you that knows him knows his name rings bells, and the bells are just going to get even louder. All right. So I'm very appreciative of him and what he brings. And I know the people that follow him, y'all bringing the heat too. I say he's sometimes I call this little beast from the east. But wherever you're from, you're bringing the heat, and we need it. So hey, so yeah, we're gonna get right into things shortly. I apologize, I was a little behind time, and I was working on pulling up a countdown, but then I said, well, time is already moving before I get the countdown in. And then stuff started moving slower on you. All of a sudden, things that would be normally on point kind of falling off point, and you got a show to do. Yeah, so that's what's been kind of going on with that. So I'm like, I ain't not getting in the way, so I'm gonna do it. And I don't complain much. I just talk about some things because then in some ways you may be able to troubleshoot issues you may have with technical issues you might have and such. I'm always learning new things. Again, with Bliz, he's also a New York native like I, and been watching for some time now, maybe a few years. And I'm going to get into his book. And if you haven't checked it out already, he has his books. There's a couple of them on Amazon, and I have all the information and details right in my community tab. I will also have them in the description here and his YouTube channel, which is Karim Johnson. And I'll also have the links to his books. Okay. And so it's a way to get to know him more better, or to reiterate what you already may know of Bliz, and bring forth that. So it's an honor to being able to speak with him, and just do this like one-on-one like this, and share it publicly. I'm very, very thankful for that. Okay, we'll get right into it. Also, and shared the trailer too, which is doing pretty good. Thankful to him for that. And in just a moment here, I'm going to pull that right up as well. Okay, just a moment. I apologize. Without further ado, guys, while you're here.
I am always ready to do some correcting. I don't use social media for clout. I don't use it for attention. This is a tool. For whatever reason it was created for, we can utilize it as a tool to encourage, to uplift, to galvanize, to strategize, to communicate, to create a space and time where if we're on page, if we're on code, if we're moving in the proper direction and with structure, can change how we move, can change the outcome of a lot. This is powerful. Lay your ass down. If you not stepping up and getting in these streets like the rest of us that's putting in the work, shut your ass up.
Yeah, that was my part right there too at the end. If you come in with it, y'all already know. And if you don't know anyone that's already affiliated with my channel, you're gonna get to know him. And check out his channel again. And before the interview is over, you should be able to you'll have more information on other ways to see him too, on other social media platforms. Okay. All right. I just rock with YouTube, very minimal social media. So it's helpful for, other people to let you know what they do and, all that stuff. I don't do a whole lot. So yeah, but yeah, thanks y'all for coming out, and we're going to get started right away. Much appreciated, y'all. Really much appreciated. There's a lot of kings and queens out here. We just have to step into our righteousness. Okay. And hopefully, you see more here on my channel that I bring. I don't come on that often. I come on here and there. But I've developed somewhat of a consistency. And the more live are, lit, so my lives get, then I'll see and feel more of a demand for things too. But in the meantime, I kind of go with the flow, and I, kind of tap in with timing on things like that. But I really appreciate y'all being here. We're going to get right into it. And again, feel free to chat within the chat room. All opinions are welcome. I just like to have it respectful. There are no wrenches. Want everyone to feel comfortable and know that no one's going to have heat on their neck or their back or wherever that they don't want anyway. I just actually keep it respectful. I don't time people out. I don't block people. I don't do things that unless it's absolutely necessary. And that's usually if you're saying harm deaf, to someone, you got to watch that. Anything that has to really do with children. So that's really it. Children and animals, you pulling on heartstrings with me right there. So don't do that. Otherwise, we good. All right, we're gonna get right into it. So I got my little intro popping off, and then um, Karim Bliz Johnson and I will be ready. Okay, just give me a second here. We'll be right up. Right, her, right, her, right. I'm Karim Y007, and I'm here joined with my guest, Karim, aka Bliz Johnson. How you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing good, pretty good. Thrilled to have you.
I'm
Um,
glad to be here. I'm definitely appreciative of the invitation.
Thank you. Um, and we'll get right into it. So I'm going to introduce you to anyone you're new to, or just to even reiterate. You have some great titles that come along with your name. So I have you down. I have you as you are anger management specialist. You're also an author, which we're going to go over this great book too that I have here. One of your books here, actually.
Yes.
This is the All American Justice System Handbook, Handcuffs, Shower, Shoes, and Visits. You're also a New York native. You're from East New York, Brooklyn, and you're an activist. And you have ties with the entertainment industry. You, as being a consultant and doing management, also a life coach, and you're a significant other and a father. And you seem like a great man to me, and I'm glad to have you here. And if I missed anything, please, let me
Thank you.
know.
Thank you. No, well, you got everything. Since it's also in our month of February, which is also my birth month, I definitely always have to acknowledge that I'm also a veteran of the United States Army. Um,
Yes, salute to you.
Combat medic, and that in itself allowed me the discipline to navigate the streets at a different level, and help me get through some situations that might have been very, very catastrophic for a couple of my team members along the way. But you hit everything. You hit everything. As far as me being from East New York, Brooklyn, a survivor of the 75th precinct. Most of the listeners, if they haven't heard of it, that would be a definitely uh, poignant research point. We happen to be one of the most dangerous precincts on the planet, suffering through brutality, shootouts with law enforcement on a regular basis from, as early as I can remember. So that is what also shaped me. The environment was extremely dangerous, and I had to, as a young person, even coming from a two-parent household, had to understand the conditions that I was in and that many of us in.
Mm, that's amazing. You've come from so much, and I know a lot of other people out there like myself can see you you're gonna go even further, even though I feel like you're like you're up, you've been through so much and yet you have so much to give. You didn't give up. You didn't quit. You wouldn't be here in front of me. I know that. And or in front of the world like you do. So I definitely commend you for that.
Thank you, thank you. There was
And
no quitting. There was no quitting. Um, my father, who was very instrumental in shaping uh, who I am to this day, was one of the first born to walk with father-in-law, formerly known as Clarence 13X. He was of the firstborn nation in the almighty nation of gods and earths. And by the time I was born, he went from that nation after father-in-law was assassinated to practicing Orthodox Islam, right? And from practicing Orthodox Islam, transitioned into the Nation of Islam. And at that point, it was essential for me as a very young person to absorb everything that was in the household from him as well as from my mom, who, for all intensive purposes, was the nationalist of the family. So there was no quitting in me. Early on, I knew what my purpose is and how I should move in that. So with every hardship, I had enough strength and determination to get through it. So the quitting is never, never, ever in my mentality. It's not in my makeup.
that's great. Um, I wish and I know through you you're gonna help encourage others not to quit. I think one of our biggest struggles, being of color, black, melanated, everything, is people kind of tap out. It's a lot.
Mm.
I
It's a
think that that's how
tremendous.
we don't have as much foundation sometimes because of that. They say, oh, I don't have to participate in this. It's like you're a participant. It's whether you want to fight or not, whether you're going to stand up with us or not, whether you're going to help or not. You're in this. It's a war going on, and people think that it's a choice to be in it or not. It's not really a choice like that, and danger can still come get you
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to be quiet. You're going trying to be something you're not. What's not so black and blackety black. I don't want to, and all that mess. When you
Yeah.
can't run from what you are, it's not a choice. And we need more people like you that with that mindset that that's not even an option to quit. Like, what do you mean?
Well, it's a tremendous weight to bear, and um, there's a very, very wise and intelligent woman who says she is exhausted by her blackness, right? Like it's tiring. And and that woman is my wife, who is one of the most intelligent women I have ever met. And when we have our daily dialogues, uh, she just, she's so overwhelmed by the task that she just made that it's our running joke that she is exhausted by her blackness. And all of us at some point will feel that way, because that is something, as you just said, you cannot get away from. The quitting comes, or the non-participation comes, because as a strategy, our enemies have given a pathway for those who choose not to fight. Accept
Mhm.
our terms. Just do what we say do, and you won't have to fight. So it's a very, very, very deceptive tactic. You see people who climb in their world. You see people become wealthy in their world. You still today in 2023 still have the first black this, the first black that, because the racism and the levels are so many. There's a multitude of different ways to keep you out. The ways in which that you can feel comfortable in your oppression is where people sit in when they say, I don't want to do this. I quit, I give up. Not knowing that that is just a half life, that is a shell of themselves. You're in it, like you said, regardless, whether you want to be or not. All of us are Tyree Nichols, all of us are Eric Gardner, all of us are Mike Brown, all of us are Sandra Bland, all of us are Breonna Taylor at any given moment. And that is the danger in quitting. Because whenever this system can snuff out your potential to be greater, you're in war. We all come through the universe, through the sun, moon, and stars, using science and math to live out to our potential being. Whenever you have an individual or a system or an individual that represents that system that can take you out of here and just eliminate your potential to be the godchild, to be the queen, you're in war. It's just that simple. So there's no giving up. If you give up on the battlefield, you are exterminated. The thing is, people either consciously or unconsciously, either woke or sleepwalking, do not sit back and have the concept of their enemy and the reality in which they sit. So that's where you're at with it when you see people give up.
Right. Good points made. Now, I'm going to just pull up here on the screen some footage here. And I'd like to go over the book with you as well, too. Speaking of, people feeling they have a choice to participate or not. And they want to be more free, but you're not. And like your book talks about incarceration, we have people that are out here, but they're incarcerated mentally. And you go pretty deep in the book, and I like that. And it's like you take people there, and I want to hit some points too, so the viewers know too. Support authors, support your authors, and we got Black authors, African American, etc.
Yes,
definitely. I think people give a piece of themselves when you write. Even if it's sometimes it's something else, it's something of you, an essence of you, and definitely with this, it feels you feel the personalness of it, and you take it where other people wouldn't have even, shared certain things. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, the written word is very intentional, and whether somebody writes a poem, a rap, a song, a short story, they are actually giving you a big piece of themselves because it is a thought. From that thought, they put it down, and then most people rewrite and make corrections and edit so you know exactly what they are attempting to give you. So in writing the All-American Justice System Handbook, the intent was to give the reader so much of my experience and knowledge that they would never want themselves or their loved ones or anyone that they know to be caught up in the American justice system, because it is actually a slow death. Once you're there, that's it. At any given time, you are powerless over whether or not you are living in the next moment, because you are totally dependent on some of the most beastly individuals on the planet. So that was my intent, to deter people from ever committing a crime that can cause you to be handcuffed. And the book starts from that very point. The mentality of someone before they leave their dwelling. Are you leaving with an intent to commit a crime? And from that point on, from A to Z, everything is in that handbook. And at any given page, you can open it up and be informed. So that was my intention. And it's not only for our people, you know, it is also for people who may be working in that system, people who are working in law enforcement, people who are clergy. Everybody and anybody can benefit from the reading, the studying, and the sharing of this book.
Definitely, I agree. It's funny that you mentioned too, you can do it from any part too. There was times where I would sit down because I purchased this one maybe like over a year ago. And actually I popped up in your chat room too, and I mentioned it.
Yes.
I ordered it through Amazon. Now, just everything is good with that, right? Everything's that's one of the ways.
That is where it is. And when I purchase to actually do book signings and things, I purchase through Amazon.
Okay.
Of course, what anybody should know, and I also do consulting for people who have aspirations to write books and self-publish. You know, all these people who come and they're bestsellers and they may be in Ebony or Essence or whatever publication and say, well, it's a very, very intense struggle. So my purpose wasn't necessarily to profit off of that. You know, as an activist, as somebody who is into activism, my true get back is servicing the people. So that is how I'm able to pull resources from my anger management, from the life coaching, from consulting. So the purchasing of the book is always appreciated because it sends the message, it spreads the message, it allows people to know who I am, what kind of work I'm doing.
Right. Okay. Definitely. I think too, and a lot of people kind of know this too. Where you're from in your environment, like what you're speaking on, to help shape you. And also, like you said, too, what's going on in the mind. Your mindset is what's going to basically predict your day, and you're going to have you're going to have an outcome. Things will catch up with you eventually too if you're committing, you know, crimes for the most part. And okay, I'm going to go back just to the beginning a bit, and then I want to get back into the book, and I have a few questions I do want to go over with you too about the book. All right. And we'll take a little New York nightlife stroll. All right. So, what was the other thing too? Okay. All right. So right here we have you, Karim Johnson, here with your LinkedIn. This has great information about your background, some of your education, what you've been doing previously and continue to currently do. When I read your bio too, what you can see here, the first thing you come out and just say is, "I save lives."
Yes.
So like that statement right there, it doesn't get no better than that. It does it? No. You are bringing it, and you know, you're living example, which I'm thankful for YouTube too. Shout out to youtube.com. You may be on other social media as well. Where else can people find you?
People can find me on basically all social media platforms. Of course, YouTube, on the Doggy Diamonds, No Filter, YouTube space. We have put a show together specifically for me, which is the Outspoken with Karim Bliz Johnson on Doggy Diamonds TV. I also have my own YouTube page, Karim Bliz Johnson, right, where people can find me. They can subscribe to me there. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Majority of my social media spaces are public. Some had to be, switched to private because of, the new notoriety and that I'm a heavy present on social media now. You get the trolls, you get the threats, you get a lot, and it was clogging those specific sites. So I had to switch to private. But I'm a very, very accessible person because I'm in the community doing the work, and at any given time, somebody may need that assistance. So I can be found at any given time. I'm nowhere near where I cannot be approached and spoken and requested. So any of those spaces you can find me.
All right, that's great. Write that into the book. Go over a few things with that, and that's a little more convo too. And then before we close out again, I want you to just say whatever you feel like saying. So go ahead and add this back. Also, you still have your other books available for sale too?
Yes. One of them is actually being rewritten and should be available as soon as I get the cover design. That is the one that is titled Thug Love Superman, A Letter from Up North. That is a memoir of that time period where I was granted my appeal from the appellate division, first department, New York County, and went back down to Rikers Island for 2 years, fighting to get the conviction not only thrown out, but to hopefully be released at that time. And it didn't happen. And that book is literally a book of letters, a memoir of letters that I was writing to one of the comrades while I was on Rikers Island, and he was still upstate. So within it, I cover everything that we speak about from that point. A lot of people miss that. How do they speak to each other in there? What do they speak to each other about? And that gives you a glimpse of where I was at that time and what was going on. I got my appeal, well, rather they gave me the appeal in 1998. And I was out of state custody and down back into the county and was on Rikers Island for 2 years. So me and him, we speak about everything. So that's what that memoir is about. We speak about hip hop. We speak about politics. We speak about the loneliness, the despair of being incarcerated, what our future hold, pornography, everything, anything that men speak about in those situations. That is what that book is about. So that's called, again, Thug Love Superman, A Letter from Up North. And it will be retitled soon, and it will still be in that same space on Amazon. And the last book, I believe, is From the East, An Adolescent Account, which is actually coming from my adolescence, true to form, which comes from a diary that I had written from 1986 288. So there's a lot of hip hop in it, and a coming of age piece from somebody who was very energetic and lively and mischievous as a teenager. That book is also there as well.
Wow. This is good. You're hitting us from all different stages of life, and others from all different walks of life can obtain this information. And that's why I think about, like, this is an off distance picture I put up here of Rikers Island.
Yes.
Talk about some of that too. And any one of you's watching may have already been locked up. You've been arrested. You know someone that's been arrested. Mm-hmm. So nothing is really far fetched. And we're living in a time where strange things are happening too. So if you think, okay, so just being aware and being more prepared for things too is what Bliz is showing. And is for everyone to take heed. You can be in prison or jail. There's nothing really stopping you. Sometimes money only goes so far too. Times are changing. So there's been a shift in powers, I feel like, too, with the universe. The universe is showing us more things too. I like looking out there and observing what's going on. A lot of it is like high level, but you can learn it, and break it down and get to know some things about our planet, us on it, and also our surroundings in the atmosphere. I think that we have a deeper connection galactically than we realize. Right. And once we tap into it, we may be able to tap into other things like energies and things like that. And making the efforts to come out and do it. You've come from a lot and you're doing it.
And when more people do that, then we can defeat our enemies who don't care to hear us at all. Mm. You understand? Mm-hmm. They don't care to hear about us. They don't want to know our stories. They don't want to know our despair because they are the cause of it. So you and I have to be patient with each other so we can understand each other, so we can make sure that we are in an alignment. So when it's time for us to sit in that foxhole, we know who we gunning at. It's just that simple. And those energies that you spoke of reading protects us. It keeps us from Rikers Island. It keeps us from missteps because there's nothing revolutionary about a criminal. That's why you're sitting in jail, right? Revolutionaries die or they change their conditions. Criminals are criminals. That's all they are. Because the crimes are selfish driven. The crimes are personal. When you're a revolutionary, when you're a liberator, you're not opposed to those laws. You are opposed to the policies that create our dehumanization.
Well said. Very well said.
And Rikers Island is filled with them. You understand? This year happens to be one of the years where, 2022, where they had over 19 deaths on Rikers Island. Detainee deaths. Some at the hands of correction officers, others at the hands of other detainees, some because of the health conditions. There is a space where people sit mentally where they believe that they can go to prison, go to jail, and come out unscathed. And that is just not true. I've witnessed people commit suicide only being locked up for 2 weeks. Yet I've also witnessed people smile at the judge once they've been sentenced to life in prison. Everybody is going to handle that trauma in a different way. So there's no telling how an individual is going to come out, if they can come out of it. So it's very important that we speak this to the children. It's very important that we speak this to each other. It's very important because there are decisions that we make every minute of the day that can cause us a lifetime of grief. Why are we still in that space in 2023? Why are we still having these discussions? Because people are just not aware of their purpose. And as long as we're living under this capitalist society, right, driven by madmen, we are all at any given point, an inmate, a detainee, a prisoner, any one of us at any given time, because that is what continues to fuel the system. That's what continues to fuel these institutions. Not only your imprisonment, but now they have found a way to monetize our death. They have found a way to monetize our illnesses, right? Our diseases. They have monetized everything at this point. So we, as people who are striving through this, have to keep that in mind, that at any given time, your body, your existence, your flesh is a target. So either people are standing with you against the system, or they're against you because they have uniforms, they have allegiances, they have attire that lets you know I'm with them. And your demise means nothing to me. So where do you stand in that? What's your purpose? What's your daily existence going to be? Are you going to be a fighter, a liberator, or are you going to be a slave, someone who sits there and allows your life to be one that fuels this system? There's no in between.
Right. You also mentioned, I want to bring up a point where you mentioned in the book how the government has such an influence, like you're saying, too, with even with staffing. You know, things are political while people have their positions and they do favors for each other. So your property when you're locked up, which I can't stand that that's a term. It's like you're not even, you're a human being, but you're considered property. It's written, your property. And they play with you. They're playing with lives and they're allowed to.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, but it's again how things are systematically wrong. We need recorrection. There's a lot of revising that needs to be done in our legislation, different areas of government. But like you said too in the book, that was important to me, that stood out. You know, who you vote for and what they do and what they stand for has a big effect. Not out here or just for everybody out here with freedom, but those that are locked up. And not everybody is even supposed to be locked up either. But, you know, there's a lot that do. So I'm pretty sure most of them, you know, but just saying. But yeah, in your book too, the All-American Justice System Handbook, you mentioned 75th Precinct. You went to Rikers, which we have put up here. In the book too, you mentioned sugar in the tank. And it was funny to me too, because usually I kind of think of sugar in the tank, you messing with somebody's car, or, you know, it could reference homosexuality, but you use it in a different way. And it has to do with us lubricating, getting into this system that's already, it's a corrupt system. And we need to be that sugar in the tank.
Yes.
Do I have that right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I like how you put that.
Right. When we act as sugar in the tank, right? When we acting as our own selves as agents to destroy the system, we would have to have individuals who are in their soul drenched in being liberators. They have to see themselves as the spook. They have to be the sugar in the tank. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying that at every given point of this system, you have people who look like us, but they do not think as we do. They do not vibrate off of that energy as we've seen with Obama, as we see with so many other political individuals who have that tone, who have that nappy hair, who you can be fooled by. But we also have individuals who look like us, who perform like us, who may be under a cloak. So in the prison systems, you have wardens, you have security depths, you have correction officers, you have civilian staff who can be the sugar in the tank, who can act as somebody who can give you a book, who can give you a kind word, who can allow you to express yourself and not be harmed. Those are people who I've seen plenty of. I've had family members who were the steady correction officer in the housing unit that I was in. This is a family member who I didn't allow to acknowledge me, and I didn't acknowledge them as such because I didn't want to jeopardize their job and position, and I didn't want them to jeopardize my reputation.
Okay.
You understand? But I've known them since we were children. And because of different paths, now they're the CO and I'm the detainee. I've had high school buddies who were on elite prison squads that were known to beat inmates to death, beat detainees to death. And when you say a detainee, I want people to understand that a detainee is somebody who has not been proven guilty. This is somebody who just happens to catch a charge, who the state says, well, you're charged with this and here's an indictment, and they may not be able to bail out. They're a detainee, so they could be innocent, and they've been beaten to death. They've been abused, right? Such as young Khalif Browder, right? These are individuals who just languish in these county jails because they are impoverished. And these unique squads come and they handle you and they beat you. Punitive segregation and things like that. And I've had high school buddies who've seen me and intervened. No, not him. Those are the ones who perform as sugar in the tank, when they can protect your flesh. And then I've seen others who would be more than willing to beat me. So it goes both ways.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I'm gonna put this back on the screen here. We're gonna get out of Rikers Island for a bit. But also I just wanted to bring attention to, this was a snippet of the overcrowding in Rikers in 2021. You mentioned, germs, and some of us like me, not that I'm like totally all that about germ free, but I'm very conscious of it. There's a lot that just goes on. It's not a place people want to go. And it's funny growing up. It's not funny, but growing up, it was like a tough thing. It was a this and that. And growing up, to be honest, when I would talk with like my homegirls or whatever, like we would think like that when guys came home, like they were so clean, like, oh, that's like fresh. Just like when somebody coming in, that's fresh meat, but somebody coming out, like he ain't been with nobody, like he ain't got nothing, Yes, you can get stuff. Because I even applied through the AIDS Council of New York. I was going to work in the prison system, either between there or the juvenile system. And I was going over information on that. And they brought it to my attention about hepatitis, things like that too. And you mentioned some health things of that sort. And it's really interesting. I really encourage people to get the book. And you can get it in groups. You can gift books for someone else. You might not be a reader. I wasn't really much of a reader myself. I really wasn't. It was if I had to, or while I was in school. I did some college too growing up. So it was like I had to do it. But then as I got older, I wanted to expand my mind, and I have it in ways where I'm flexible with my time a lot of times, and I'm able to, with the internet and everything, we have so much information at our fingertips. We need to grab it. But there's hidden voices like those you see here. They're on the ground and everything. And some people may say, hey, they got locked up. Oh well. But some people, like you said, are detained. There's certain areas where you're just detained for a while. It may be too long sometimes. But either way, where do we lose the humanity? We have to keep humanity, and these prisons and jails and whatnot aren't quite set up for that. And you even mentioned, because in your book, it's dating back a ways when you were away. So you had the phone that was there. So now what I want to just mention real briefly, now we have cell phones, you're not supposed to and everything, but it's also adding exposure to these type of conditions and such and bringing attention. But there's also a hefty thing where, like, I know people that are away, and they told me personally, if they happen to have something and, something happened, they got caught with it or someone got caught with it, you get like 6 months in solitary confinement. So I was like, that's a lot. But, maybe one outweighs the other. And briefly, what are your thoughts? You have thoughts on cell phone use, can it possibly help you as an inmate, not just talking, but maybe for safety and things like that? How do you feel? Because now we have these little devices,
Well, there's never a point of which that you can use anything to feel safe. Prison, jail, correctional facilities, counties, you can never be safe. I don't care what kind of device you have. You may be able to record something and then after the fact, or even I've seen some individuals going live on these apps from prison, from jail.
It's crazy.
Once the administration finds out that you have it, then the safety issue is gone. You can meet your demise at that point. My thing had always been to make sure I make it out of there. So I didn't violate any of their rules unnecessarily. My only rule that I was willing to violate was to escape and get out. And anything in between that got in my way, I was willing to do. I had never accepted my position in there. That was not me. That wasn't me. This was something that happened that I done. I didn't accept it. I didn't accept my capture, which is why I was very disciplined to make sure that the administration never knew my activities, who I was, what I do. The only thing that they had information on is what I was reading, what I was doing, how I conducted my day. People don't understand that they study everything about us when we're in there. They know what you're reading. They know who's coming to visit you. They know what kind of information you have on your letters. So a phone or any piece of technology, what can it do for you other than entertain you? If you're not utilizing that phone as a pathway to your freedom, to give information about the charges that you have, to work with investigators and lawyers who could possibly free you, what are you doing? You make them watch some porn here and there and relieve yourself if that's what you want to do. You make some raps. You may be able to talk to a few people, but you're still in a box. You're still in a cage. And my thing wasn't to move from a general population cage to one of solitary confinement. Why am I going to be in a jail within a jail? So, to each his own, but I'm not one who wants trinkets. I'm not one who wants to be distracted from my conditions. I wanted to remain in that space. I wanted to remain in that struggle. So this way, when I'm out, I will never look back. And I haven't looked back. My daughter's 18, which means I've been free for 19 years. 18 and a half years.
That's what's up.
Right? Never went back. Finished parole. Nothing. Not a cuff. Not a police stoppage. Nothing. because I value my life, I value myself as a liberator, and I value myself as a leader, not to be put in that situation where nobody can benefit from me being there.
Absolutely. Yes, salute to that. Yes. New York, New York. You've come so far to got the little night stroll going on in the background.
I
New
see.
York, the yeah, I thought I was starting it earlier, but whatever. Great conversation. That's what's important. I can add some music later if I want. Um, okay, yeah, thank you again. And yeah, one last thing too. I didn't mention too what I like talking about also is like sexual energies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual, period. But sexual health too, because I want to have angles, not just, oh, let's just talk, because then sometimes we get sloppy in our conversation and it's like, are we getting anything out of it? Or are we just hanging out and we could have did this offline? So that's how I view channels, etc. But I do like how you talk somewhat about that too. You mentioned, because you're away, people are away. So, things are built up too. And it's other things that we don't think about. We might think we can like, oh, I can picture being in prison or in jail. It's like this. Oh, yeah, that probably is nasty over there. But no, there's a lot. So, you really go in this book. You do, some of the parts in there. So that's good for people to really take with them too. Yeah, so you give great insight on also coming home.
Yes.
From being away. And the built up sexual energy, and then sometimes you start to maybe easily fall for not only other okie doke that's out here, but possibly the wrong man or woman in your life, and you really need to be mindful. You're really about staying on point and having the right mindset out here, in there, and even if you come back out here. So you really take people on a nice journey or nice ride, like this kind of feels like. And you hit areas and you don't give them too much where I'm beating you up and I'm gonna keep talking. You move on. You're like, okay, come on, let's go down the hall. Now it's time to eat, or now it's time to. So the book is very personal and it's for anyone. And plus you don't know where someone else can end up. You might want to help deter someone else from getting locked up, like what Liz is doing. So this book is for anyone. I recommend it. I recommend listening to you. You have your channel here, which you mentioned too on YouTube. Everything. You got your books that you're working on, that you're revising the other book too. Also lastly in your book, you have a list of books and authors too. So he also recommends other readings for you too that you found fundamental and things like that. So that's also a good thing that you provided.
Well, reading is something that was an escape for a lot of individuals in there, and it helped build them. Right? We all learn from either our experience or from somebody else's experience in nurturing us. And books are a way for you to figure out what moves you, what motivates you. What have you seen in the world? What have you seen from others? So a good book list is something that anybody who is away can enjoy and benefit from. Because you're right, when we're out in the general society, things are moving a mile a minute. More so now than back then. Like when there was no cell phones, right? When I was like, we were still using Metagram pagers in 94, 95. So when I come out in 2004, now we're just on the cusp of, right, the small cell phones, but they were nowhere as advanced as they are now. So nobody now is very rare that you see people pick up a book and read it, right? You got audio books, you have YouTube, you have all these things. When you're locked away or out of the set or have the discipline to sit somewhere and quietly and read, you're able to intake this information you're able to look at these theories and decide whether or not you want to practice it and see if it's the end result. So many books. I mean, I've read 1,000 of books. All authors. You understand? But it's always leading in the space of liberation. I like to read from people who fought and won. I like people who have a different take on humanity and where we can be and where we should be able to go. So that book list is just a starter's kit on people who yearn to be woke and aware. One book I've been reading every day religiously since 1990, 91 is the book right here. This book helped me get through anything, and I read this every day. This is Blood in My Eye by the great comrade George Jackson, right? I read this every day. I read this more than I read the Quran when I'm deaning, because again, it is a book that shaped me, that molded me, that informed me, and gave me purpose. So everybody have a book or two that they continuously read. So while you're behind bars, reading is essential. Reading is essential. It keeps you grounded, and it could keep you safe. There are a lot of things that I just didn't do behind the wall because I knew it could lead to trouble. It could lead to misunderstandings. But there's no misunderstanding when I'm in my space and I'm reading.
Very good. Thank you. You dropped so many jewels. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I really appreciate this time. Again, and Bliz does mental health. You do anger management. And in case people haven't been paying attention, I know you haven't. I get it. Depression is at its highest. Mental health is been overloaded by over 200% in 2020. I fell off of my statistics over time because I'd be looking up so much different things. I just be wanting to know what's going on, you know? So
right.
I'd be all over, like, taking time to do that. And yeah, we all could use some help, I feel like. So we for sure know someone that could use help with anger management and such. I can't say enough to help reach out to people. Bliz is another person. Certified everything. I showed the LinkedIn. You can look them up for yourself. I did. I was already a believer though. I kind of got it going on with who's real and who's not. Just because I still want to see something for myself for my own reasons or data and you know what I be noting, taking and all that stuff. I knew you was a real one. And we're very appreciative of you. One thing too I notice about people that are called pro-black. I don't use that term. People call me that. I hear people use it. All it means to me is I love what I am, where I come from, of being of black descent, African or melanated woman of color.
Right.
However you want to categorize it, because people are playing with terms too much with me these days. You know what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
The essence of me. So it's like, I love me and my people. You categorize us for that. I don't need a term for that. Other people do it. Yes. They're not called pro-white, pro this or pro that. Not really that I know of. So it's like, you know, I think we really got to kind of think about what we're saying, what we're calling each other, you know, things like that, because it kind of shows divide too. But then to me, it lets me know where people stand from, because there's people that look just like us and they're not for us. There's people that are running away from their own identity. If they could come out of that skin, this beautiful skin color we all have in all these shades, they would. Yes. They can't though. So I see a lot of that. And as divide, and you mentioned gender, like we got gender divide that's been popping off as well. And I'm glad that as we're wrapping up, I'm glad that, you know, you're doing what you're doing, you know, with that part as well. You have your Woman Up, Men Up that you started maybe somewhere around, was it towards the end of last summer or so, or midsummer?
Yes, once I got into the YouTube space, and the comrade encouraged me to go live more or at least put more content out, I always know that in any given situation, no matter the circumstance or how unfortunate it was, black women or black woman has come to my aid and had saved me, encouraged me, right? Protected and provided for me. And I always knew and understand that if the black woman, if our woman is placed upon the throne of governance, that everything would be back in order. There is not one entity where a black woman sits, if she is woke and conscious, that is not in alignment with the universe. Our women are here and have been a gift to humanity. I use Women Up or Men Up as a way for that community to speak to each other, for us to encourage each other, for us to question each other. I use Women Up so they can speak directly to me and ask me things that they may not have another man to ask. So, you know, my space is a space that I want to always have accessible for a point of learning.
For the most part, when it comes to your people, if we all have the same common goal, we're going to go about it the same way. We're going to kind of see people the same way. We have a different vision. We're not going to be as easily tricked and fooled as a lot of these people will. Some people lure you in with this and make you feel like, you know, yeah, come on in here. Watch they change on you. So forget the smiling and all that stuff. We got to go by the feel and the aura that people bring to us. And you've always had it and you stayed consistent. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm so thankful for you and your time today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Liz, if there's anything else you want to say, before, you go on or anything.
Well, I want to say, first of all, that I definitely appreciate this opportunity. And I definitely want to make sure that I wish you your goals to be met, for you to remain militant in anything that you do. I have to let you know that as a black woman, you are so powerful, you are dynamic. I don't want you to ever forget that. Chemically, this is a scientific fact that when you are angry, the chemicals, the makeup in your brain prevents proper decision making. I encourage everyone to reach out to me for an anger management assessment to see exactly where you are, what your triggers may be, and what kind of plan you can be putting in place to make sure you don't do something that you're going to suffer consequences from. I love my people. We have to remain militant. Be sure of yourselves. There's a universal intuition that we all have, that we know whether something is right and exact. Let us start using it. Let us love on each other, because love is the revolutionary act.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Again, this is Karim Bliz Johnson. He's come so far, and he's been in a penitentiary, but he's still giving so much back to the community, to all of us around the world, whoever he can reach. So it's whoever wants to reach him, because he's already reaching out. So it's up to us to obtain this knowledge and information. It's so good talking with you. Probably last time I had as much in-depth conversation and it felt so moving was actually when I was in the penitentiary myself doing group therapy with youth up to age maybe 23 or so. But anyway, we implemented the 12-step program, things like that. So I'm always a believer in rehabilitation, improving yourself, and also making sure justice is served. Do you even belong in here? There's a lot of that and things like that. But it's just really vital. I think it's just really important, and I'll put it out there too. I've been arrested different times myself, so, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, well never. And one time, like, no, I got time for all that. If I can help one of y'all you can hit me up too. I have my email in my about section. I'm a very private person, but at the same time, there's certain things that, I don't mind having to open up about. And even if I do mind, if it's to help someone, I have to kind of open up a little more. And I will do that as long as I don't allow too much vulnerability on myself, because being a woman, especially a woman of color, we are more, unprotected. So a lot of times I just back away from a lot of things. I'm like, yo, my guard is already up. A lot of us brought guns recently, we probably already had a gun or whatever, but we're armed. Where I'm armed mentally, but I got to be armed physically too, because I don't know what's out there and I don't trust people. And if I can't even, man, it's be tough out here sometimes. But when it's brothers like you, it makes me feel refreshed and inspired. And we need that. It's good to have female connections too. But again, I have to be careful because I know we're master manipulators as women. There's something about us with that. And it's like, I ain't got time for that. It's like, there's so many relationships I done had with them. You would think I'm their man or something after time. I was like, listen, I don't know. I don't have time for all that, so you got to watch who you have around you and stay focused, because time is very important. Other people take time for granted when it's one of the gifts given. And when you have a perception of time, that depends too, because now we're talking about a time change because of the atmosphere and stuff. But you know what I mean? Whatever your space is, and when the sun goes up and sun goes down. So in that aspect. So I'm just very thankful to have you here. We need people like you, and we need more. We need more kings. Queens are out here and everything, but we're lacking kings. And we're starting to we've got good with our population, but at the same time, the murder rates are up. A lot of rates are up, and it seems like it's against us. But I don't want us to feel too down, because there are great men out there. There are kings out there. I'm with one right now, and I'm having a conversation with him. And I'm just another, YouTuber, whatever. But I know what he got going on, and it's there. And I'm just very thankful. Like, I don't have a word for it, but thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing your space with me. Thank you for sharing your space. As you can see and hear, they're starting to work in the house next door. So
all right, yeah. So it's good. All right, take care. I'll be seeing you again too, maybe at some point down the road or whatever later in the year. I don't know, but
definitely, you have information. You reach out again.
Yes.
Remain militant. All things work in divine order.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for helping me manifest my vision. Yes. Thank you so much.
Queen.
Yes. Much love to you, King. Salute. All right. Have a great day.
You too.
I really thank you all for sharing this moment with me. This is probably about the third interview that I've done out of my time being on YouTube. And it's so moving to me that I can't really put it all in words, because there's so much exchange and it's such a good vibe. And I'm kind of like a sponge. I love to suck up the goodness. I dodge toxicity. I do that very well. No one lures me in with their toxic ways, etc., to try to trick you and bend you, as if we don't have enough going on already out here. Okay. So Karim Bliz Johnson, I appreciate you so much. In the time that he shares. You can imagine how busy he is too, but he has to have time for himself too. I ask you all to take time for yourself too. Whether it's meditating, being by yourself, you have to remove your phone sometimes. It'll be fine. You'll be better off. Okay. There's a lot going on out here, but we can really connect with places just like YouTube. YouTube.com has helped me reach people like possibly never really before. I used to work in a public or city government, and I had, jobs or whatever, and learned to work for myself. So I do encourage entrepreneurship. Karim Bliz Johnson, I'm going to be speaking with him further too. And I want to also talk with him about the music industry. Hip hop is where we come from and all that. So I'm ecstatic about that too, because I know he's rooted in it, and he was there a lot firsthand too, with people growing up in the hip hop culture, etc. in the movements for empowerment of Black people and all that. He was birthed through a lot of that. So this was an awesome opportunity for me. And I never take anything really for granted, so I'm just excited about it. And I'm doing good. And, sometimes I get anxious. I even talk to him about that. But I'm even doing well with that after talking to him. I mean, I'm applauding that. Shoot, sister be sweating. I'll be getting nervous sometimes. But I really appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that came out and everything. And hope to see you back. I seen already got a few more subscribers and everything, and I appreciate that so much. Feel free to subscribe. I never tell people what to do. I don't really like being told what to do. So if you want to, you know where the subscribe button is. If you like to hit the like button, hit the like, you can come check me out sometime. I'm here and I have uncomfortable conversations sometime. I'm comfortable with it. Others aren't. That's the difference. As long as I'm here to help share and encourage and improve information that we share with each other. And when you come here, when you meet me, when you're in the sound of my voice, I hope that that energy touches you to where you don't leave the same way you came. There's something a little more that you're taking with you, but it's beneficial. No nonsense. This is different. I definitely care about what I do. On the entertainment side, okay, that's fun and all that, but at the same time, I want you to be able to feel it. That's why I don't cam up. I don't do much, things like that. If it is, it's just very little, I want you to feel what's going on. You know what I mean? We got time for fashion shows and all that on other social media and who's wearing it, who. I like to know who the soldiers are, comrades. I like to know who the people are to stand up, because I know there's great men and women out here and of color, Black, because we're the ones that need it the most. So that's why I speak the way I speak. Okay. But this is also for everyone, because there's things that we all need to share with each other culturally too, to build an understanding and possibly less deaths. But I thank you all for coming out. Like I said, it is Black History Month. I had a big focus on Black authors. And like we said, Karim Bliz Johnson, he wrote books and he's revising one. He has 2 available already, like I mentioned, on Amazon, The All-American Justice System. And the other one is the East New York Adolescence. So that's a book of him in his youth. So, he got him from different age of timeline with him. So I really thank you all for coming out, and hopefully, see you back again another time, and I'll probably see you around too. I'm a little more quiet. I kind of just like to kind of see, because there's a lot going on out here and everything is not for everybody. So having said that, I really hope you all have a great day. I'm going to throw up some more comments I might didn't have up there just yet. Yes. And yes. And I think I mentioned it. Hopefully I did. Yes. And he does have a book club. I know he was doing them on Saturdays. Where he would read chapters from books with you and talk about the book, how it can make you feel, things like that. Bliz is really a reader. Like, he be reading. He don't just write, he reads. And I see there's other writers in the chat room as well. At least I've seen one. But what's interesting? We all have a story. We all have a story. And some of the mishaps and things like that are just parts of the story that we are to learn from. And a lot of things I laugh from. If you like to laugh, you'll see some stuff on my channel where I get a little silly and stuff. And like I told Bliz, it helps me keep my sanity sometimes. And sometimes I make people laugh and I'm not even trying to at times. So it's like, okay, maybe people will understand my humor too when I, deliberately bring it sometimes. So that's how that is. Thank you. You guys were so awesome too. This was like one of the best chat rooms. He just brought over the the realest camp, man. Like, I appreciate y'all, because y'all could have just been like, yeah, I know Bliz, but I don't know you. I can't even see you. Who that? Or, y'all didn't. Y'all trust in this man to know too that where he goes, he goes. He's not going to switch up when he's with somebody else and all this stuff that you see other people do. There's a lot of that going on, and we can't have too much of that, because we need to know where people stand. Where they stand is where they stand. I'm not talking about opinions back and forth and stuff like that. I'm talking real, just information shared with us, so where we go with that. Really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Feel free to leave a comment. below. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it all up for us. And again, I thank y'all very much, very, very much for coming out. The chat room was busy. It was going, and I enjoy it so much because it's mostly real caring people. Um, people that do have a desire to build with other people. So I see that in y'all, and I appreciate it. And I can only look forward to more. It's only up from here. Also, I mentioned in the chat, my email is available in the About section on my page also. If there's something possible that maybe has to do a book or something like that, not that I'm a book expert, but I have helped people over the years. I think that dates back about maybe 15 years was the first time. There was a first time writer, help with that, proofreading. They got their own publisher, but I got into, like quotes, quotes publishing and all that. So Bliz is just doing his thing. I was so grateful to have him here and grateful to have you all here as well. Yes, so with that about wraps it up, and then we'll just close things on out. We look forward to another time that we're going to expand on some more conversation with Bliz. He's going to share some more information, sharing some more information with us too. All right. So thanks, y'all. I hope y'all have a great, great day. I'm Kai Y007. And for now, peace.
I am always ready to do some correcting. I don't use social media for clout. I don't use it for attention. This is a tool. For whatever reason it was created for, we can utilize it as a tool to encourage, to uplift, to galvanize, to strategize, to communicate, to create a space and time where if we're on page, if we're on code, if we're moving in the proper direction and with structure, can change how we move, can change the outcome of a lot. This is powerful. Lay your ass down. If you not stepping up and getting in these streets like the rest of us that's putting in the work, shut your ass up.